Hi, everybody, and welcome back on channel F1 FTV, for fans by fans, driven by you. Today, we're going to talk about the Hungarian Grand Prix. What a race, so much to unpack. And we have a very, very special guest to help us do that. We are joined by Robert Senkyr, who is a former two-time European champion at GT3. He is also the team principal of Robert Senkyr Motorsport. He is also a driving mentor, 30 years of experience, a legend in motorsport, one of the leading icons of motorsport in the Czech Republic. He was personally at the Hungarian. He witnessed the Budapest carnage in lap one. He was at the Hungarian Grand Prix for its entirety. And Robert is going to help us unpack all the major incidents today. Robert, welcome to the channel.
Thank you very much for introduction thank you to be here with you, and I try to answer your questions. Hopefully it makes sense. I was there under big crowds and big number of visitors. It was really a nice Grand Prix.
Yeah, one of the most interesting we've had this year, I think. Now, of course, you are a former driver, as we said, massive amount of experience, multiple race winner. You're also now a team principal. So you have two very different views, two very different experiences you can share with us. So firstly, I have to ask you, Robert, lap one, that crash, what was your view on that?
Yeah, it was really a big one, which affected the whole race, actually. So from my point of view, Hamilton, Verstappen, Norris did get very well after the start. Bottas very bad, and yeah, we must say that they had no outing under such conditions because it started to rain a little bit shortly before the race start. So suddenly they got in intermediates on the grid without any opportunity to explore how the grip really is on those tires and on this surface and the wets. So after my experience in my whole career, always somebody from the grid makes a mistake under this condition, and it happened. So two drivers were late on brakes, and it was it. Yeah, a red flag, and so on, and so yeah. From my point of view, big mistake from Bottas and from Stroll. They affected two crashes and affected the whole race.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. I think big mistakes from Bottas and from Stroll in particular. And I think without that and the big effect that you mentioned, we wouldn't have had a knock-on win, right? So if you're in neutral, it's great. But if you're a Red Bull team principal, you are not going to be happy, right? What's your view of Red Bull's strategy? And if you were the Red Bull team principal right now, if you're Christian Horner, how would you be feeling right now?
Yeah, I think the Christian Horner has a big headache now because after the Silverstone crash, now both cars crashed in the first corner. If I would be a Red Bull fan and would not be neutral, then I had to say Bottas made a mistake and took out of the race both Red Bull cars. That's it. And Bottas did more mistakes. Also, one is the missed start, so they lost 5 positions on the start, and then his late braking and crash into Norris, McLaren, and then the consecutive crash into the Verstappen, and Bottas himself crashed Perez. So really bad day for him. And yeah, what to say? Yeah, really bad. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it's interesting that you said he took out both Red Bulls, because I've seen some Mercedes fans saying, no, he only took out Perez because Verstappen finished. But in actuality, he destroyed Verstappen's race. The damage sustained to Verstappen's car meant he couldn't compete. I think he was lucky to even get a point in that race. The Red Bull mechanics did a great job to get that car to finish the race, I think.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Bottas made a big mistake, right? But hugely beneficial for his team, right? So if you were, what's your view of the Mercedes strategy? And if you were Toto Wolff right now, the team principal Mercedes, what would you be thinking?
Mercedes strategy after the big crash in the first corner. Then we had a red flag, and then we had a restart. So Bottas was out of the race, so we will not speak about him anymore. And now we have a Hamilton on the start. So I think, first of all, the big mistake from Mercedes at the beginning of the restart. So only he continued to the start grid and started alone from the grid. So, but if you see it as a team principle, from another point of view, maybe that was one of the possible strategies to start from the grid, because we have to mention that Mercedes always chooses the box number 1 and 2. So at the beginning of the pit lane. So if all the drivers would come to the pits before the restart, Hamilton would be most probably at the end of the line at all.
Yep.
So I think they are not stupid. They were thinking about it and decided to start from the grid. Yeah.
Yep.
That was it. Yeah.
Really interesting observation there, Robert. So, because many people are saying that, you know, Mercedes made a mistake, but you're saying that even if they came in, they'd be starting last anyway. So why not get Hamilton clean start, no risk to him, and then you can develop the strategy from there. Really interesting observation there, Robert, as a team principal yourself. Thank you for sharing with us. Okay, as the race progressed, many other incidences. What about Alonso and Hamilton? What was your view on that? As a former driver, now forget about being a team principal, but as a former driver, multiple race winner, what was your view on that piece of tangled together?
Yeah, I come back later to Alonso Hamilton fight. Maybe it's good to mention that after this mistake or not mistake, after this strategy point at the beginning of the race for Hamilton, then they tried to change the strategy to be quick at the end of the race. I think all drivers who come earlier to the pits, so they made undercut, were quick at the end. So undercut was a good choice, because you need really fresh air and Hungarian in front of you to be quick. We could see Hamilton and Verstappen in the line and behind at the first part of the race, behind the Schumacher, behind the Alfa Romeo, so they could not overtake Hamilton, and Verstappen could not overtake the slow cars because they need really fresh air in front of them, and that was not this situation. So after that, I think it was about lap 20. Hamilton did an undercut against Ricciardo and Verstappen and overtook both of them in the pits. So after the pits, so that was a good decision. So they tried to do little steps to go more to the front. And at the end of the race, the Mercedes was really very, very fast in the fresh yellow tires. That made the Hamilton quick. And if the Alonso was not in front of him, most probably he would win the race. So that's it. How we come to Alonso Hamilton.
Yes, indeed, yes.
Yeah, it's really hard fight. They almost touched several times. I think somehow Alonso could keep Hamilton behind him. Even the Mercedes pace was really better at the end of the race and the fresh tires. I think Alonso enjoyed his 30th birthday and took a chance he got after the lap 1 crash to be in the front, and really wanted to fight. He wanted also to help Alpine and Ocon.
Yes.
So he saved the position against Hamilton and tried to catch him as a bit behind him. So he helped a lot to Ocon and Sainz. At the other hand, Hamilton knew that Verstappen is far behind him, and I think he was not so hard fighting because he was thinking about the championship.
Yes,
and that was Alonso in the front, so good motivation. Hamilton knew that Verstappen behind, so this was a balance that held them together.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that Hamilton is not racing Alonso for the championship. He's racing Verstappen. So while he wanted to gain every point he could, I don't think it's worth risking going off against Alonso. So we saw a duel, but not as big a duel, I think, as if he was racing against Verstappen for that position.
Yes.
I think Alonso, I think you're very right. Celebrate his 40th birthday, one of the most experienced drivers on the track, perhaps after Raikkonen, the most experienced. I think he showed to a new generation of Formula One fans exactly why he was twice world champion. Really showed how to. It was a masterclass in defensive driving, and I think Robert, your observation is perfect. He did that for Renault, the team that gave him 2 world championships, which is now Alpine, and he did it for his teammate Ocon. Because without that, I think you're right, Hamilton would have won that race. He would have passed Vettel and passed Ocon because he was about 2 seconds a lap faster than him. So I think those 3 to 4 laps Alonso held him up was the difference between an Alpine second place and Alpine win. So yeah, so
I think Alonso way of fighting is what the fans really like.
Yes,
I know Alonso personally, so not such a personally, but 20 years ago, imagine 20 years ago, I won a race in Oviedo in Spain, and the hill climb race, and this is the home town of Alonso.
Yep.
And at that times, 20 years ago, Alonso overtook me a cup for the victory. So I know him since 20 years, and that time he overtook me a cup for the victory. Yeah.
Okay. So you personal experience of dueling with Alonso, yes.
And since that time, I'm really a big fan of him. His way of fighting is what they fans need. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, you know, there was a lot of negative things in the race, the crashes, all the cars being taken out. A lot of fans of drivers like Perez and Norris, their races were over before it started. But I think this duel between Hamilton and Alonso, it takes us back to kind of Senna-Prost type, Mansell-Prost type duels, PK, that we haven't seen for many years. So I think it was great for us to see that in the race. I totally agree, which I think was one of the highlights of the race for sure. And a defensive masterclass by Alonso against Hamilton, who is, he can race. Hamilton absolutely can race. In the last race, people were saying the Mercedes was so much faster than the Ferrari that, it was easy for Hamilton to catch Leclerc. But what's interesting is that Bottas couldn't catch Leclerc. Only Hamilton did. And I think that's why he's world champion, right? And Bottas is not, nor probably never will be. Some excellent observations there. Thank you so much, Robert. Lastly, Ocon, what about his first win, a maiden win for him, his first win since an F3 win in 2015. What did you think about that?
That's good for Formula One to see new faces on the podium. For Ocon, very consistent for the whole race, looking for the win after he got the chance after the lap 1 crash. No mistakes, good strategy from Alpine, good defense against Vettel attacks, especially after the last tire change. So deserved win. Nothing special happened in the front after they covered the P1, P2 as Ocon and Vettel, but they had a lot of small fights for the lead, and really deserved win for him. No mistakes, good strategy, perfect.
Yeah, no, he was. And if you saw him after the race, it looks like he was starting the race, not finishing it. He looked totally relaxed, not stressed. So just shows just how good a driver Esteban Ocon is. So we're delighted for him. And I guess everybody except Red Bull fans is probably delighted with that race, right? As you said, you had made some excellent observations. as we head into the break now, and we're going to have a break now for a few weeks until the Belgian Grand Prix. What's your view as we restart? Do you think Red Bull will be able to get back into this title race, or do you think now the advantage is with Mercedes?
That's a good question. We don't know. There are some penalties after Hungarian as well. So I think Bottas 5 places on the grid back, Stroll as well. So this is a question how this influence the race in Spa. Really don't know. The Red Bull was very quick, and the before last 5 years, 5 races before Silverstone. Also in Silverstone very quick, but after this crash, it changed now. And Mercedes was a little bit quicker before the whole weekend in Hungary.
Yep.
So really don't know how are the chances for Belgium. Good for fans because they are really in the same points almost. And we have a special atmosphere now in the front of the championship. So we can await a good fights between Hamilton and Verstappen and the both second drivers, Bottas and Perez. So they must help. They must help in this fight. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely agree. I mean, let's hope that Max can get back into the race because, you know, we all want a close race. It's great for the sport. What a lot of people may not realize is that this is, while Max is races on the Dutch flag and the Dutch Grand Prix is his home Grand Prix, Belgian Grand Prix is actually also a home Grand Prix from he was born in Belgium. He grew up in Belgium, you know, just across the border from the Netherlands. So this is kind of like a second home Grand Prix from them. Will be massive sport. The Orange Army will be there out in full. So let's hope for a great race. Let's hope for a clean race, and let's hope that we can get out of the first lap without major incidences. As you said, if you're Toto Wolff at the moment going into the break, you're going to be very, very happy. If you're Christian Horner, you're going to be very upset. And as you said, he has a problem now. But Christian Horner is an amazing team principal. As a team principal yourself, I guess you would agree with that. I think if anybody can get Red Bull back on track, if you'll pardon the pun, it is Christian Horner. Robert, thank you so much for your time. One last thing for the viewers. You know, we're going to do a separate video where we're going to have a promotion with Robert, and we're going to give away some of his stuff, some of the merchandise from his team signed by him. We're going to have a separate short video on that. So stay tuned. It's going to be up a couple of days after this, and we're going to give away some excellent exclusive Robert Senkyr Motorsport Team merchandise. Robert, thank you again. It's been wonderful to speak to you as a team principal, as one of the most experienced drivers in Central Europe. Your insight has been wonderful. Thank you so much again. Hopefully we will see you again on the channel, and it will be great to talk to you again.
Thank you very much for your invitation, Stuart.
Thank you too.